Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the program People, Politics, and Power. We do apologize sincerely for bringing the program to you a few minutes behind schedule due to operational reasons. But let's go on. Today, we focus our attention on Nigeria's population dynamics and the impact it has on Nigeria's economic and security well-being. Nigeria is estimated to have about 230 million people. This figure is projected to double by the year 2050. And this rapid population growth, while signaling immense human potential, presents complex challenges and opportunities. Now, on the economic front, Nigeria's youthful demography offers a potential labor force capable of driving innovation, entrepreneurship, and development. However, in reality, it often reflects a strain on infrastructure, on education, healthcare, and job markets with persistent high unemployment and underemployment rates. Security-wise, the pressures of rapid population growth exacerbates existing vulnerabilities, limited resources, and unequal distribution. And of course, that intensifies and fosters unrest and fears the proliferation of conflicts, insurgencies, and organized crime. Urban centers face rising crime rates and inadequate policing. In addition, competition over land and resources in rural areas feeds communal clashes. Is Nigeria able to navigate its population dynamics? Is it managing the interplay between governance, equitable resource allocation, and sustainable development? Can it strike a balance between the benefits of its large youth population and mitigating its adverse impacts on economic stability and national security? These are the issues that we will be focusing our attention on the program today, and I will have joining me very shortly officials of the National Population Commission here in the nation's capital, Abuja, and we'll also be joined by a professional in demography who will be joining us from Dutse in Jigawa State in northern Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment with more.
The Nigeria of our dream, the Nigeria we need, is the united, indissoluble, and cohesive Nigeria which guarantees equity, fairness, justice, and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics, and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must-watch. People, politics, and power on AIT.
All right, let's begin our discussion. Let's go over to Dutse in Jigawa State, where Mr. Ibrahim Garba, he's a professional in demography and population studies, is joining us from that part of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim Garba, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Well, we'll also be joined on the program later on by Aisha Abdulaziz Adamu, who is the Director, Population Studies and Coordinating Director, Climate Change at the National Population Commission. She will be joined by Dr. Nnamdi Madueke, who is the Deputy Director, Population Studies at the National Population Commission. But Mr. Ibrahim Garba, let's start with you. What would you say is the relationship between a country's population and its economic and security well-being?
Okay, sir. The economy, more especially appropriately when you go to our nation now, more especially we have the high rate of population. Sorry, sir, I don't know that. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
The population we have now is we need to tackle this population. There are so many ways that we can engage in this program. which it will help us to tackle these issues or to control or to manage this population that is happening in Nigeria right now, well in Africa, entirely in general. So, more especially the northern Nigeria, is we have the largest number of people, which it increase lower days, day by day, which we have the problem of insecurity, lack of unemployment, which is called the lack of unemployment and the high population of the number of people we have is what causing all this, the poverty and the insecurity, which is a major problem that we are facing. Okay, when we engage in population, then we can reduce this number of population by what? By engaging by putting the education in our school curriculum. School curriculum, where we can educate our children and our people, they will have the knowledge to control this. They will engage in family planning. The family planning, we don't have the knowledge of family planning here in North. More especially when we take Kano as an example in North, we have the number of people according to 2022, a projection 15.4 million people. Well, the male carrying 2%, well, the female carrying the 8%. So if we can see, this thing is reason they don't have the institution of infrastructure here in Kano because there are a number of people. The numbers of people we have here in Kano. When you see the people we have, they occupy the place. The infrastructure we have, it's the number. They cannot engage themselves in where we are discussing now. They don't have it very well. So we can engage in various communities. When we come to community, then we engage our traditional and religious ruler. We educate them. We give them awareness by the awareness of how to reduce this number in a knowledge way, which is, for instance, when they have the knowledge, more especially our women, we engage our women in education, we educate them, we give them awareness by providing the programs like microfinance programs, yes, microfinance programs. We will take this to give us, they will engage themselves in this program, which it has happened before. It has happened before. But the lack of number of people that can engage themselves in these various places to give this knowledge, we don't have this knowledge. We don't know how to control this problem. People are giving activities without numbers because we have the problem of healthcare. The healthcare, our barriers, our village, we don't have this. So we can engage this thing by what? Improving the healthcare sector. Are we together, sir?
Yes, Mr. Gaba, are you saying, for instance, that one of the contributing factors to Nigeria's fast-growing population is the absence of the knowledge of family planning in most communities and in most of our societies? Now, if that is the case, what do you talk or what do you say about the rate of migration from other climes, from other countries, from neighboring countries into Nigeria? Is that also a contributory factor to Nigeria's growing population? And how are governments, both at the subnational and national level, planning for such increase in the number of persons that are coming into our country on a daily basis, whether being born here or are migrating into Nigeria?
Okay, we see the number one, we see the government can take the part which is implement the economic empowerment. Through the economic empowerment, that is implement the program that injects a government can inject this, which is already it takes it. But what I'm saying, I try to highlight here, is the program is not enough for us or for the North people that they can understand this or to get the knowledge. When we say the example of family planning, sir, the family planning, we don't have this knowledge here because they are not sharing. We don't have it in our curriculum, in our curriculum at school. which are our school, various schools, we don't have it. So we need it. We need it. So we need to implement this. That's number one. That's number one. Then we take awareness campaign. In the awareness campaign, we engage in community, which we include, it includes our traditional rulers and the religious rulers. We engage them, we make a program, and then the various community we have, we gather them, we enlighten them the knowledge, we highlight them, we show them the very important of this, which is the federal government or the government, it is using their own necessary ability to see it to provide the employment for its people. But if we have this number, right, they cannot secure the number we have of people. They already is not, they cannot secure that job, because the job, when we get the increase, we are getting the increase in the population of our people because of the facilities rate is increasing. Which when we see the people are the people that die, they are lower than the people are facilitated rates in number in our facilities healthcare here in North. So I think this can help the government to tackle these issues, to make this thing happen, which it is. We need the people who have the capacity, like this program. This program can help because it will give the room of large number of people from various communities, various areas we have, so that we can tackle this issue. We can make this impact happen, a reality, which we want to help. Then, when we take example of Rwanda, this program helps country like Rwanda to reduce its number of people by making the implementation of family planning. One key test, which it will help us. It helps us, but we have to put the energy and the manpower for this to the north, because we need education. We need to educate our people, more especially the women, because if the woman has the knowledge, when you educate women, it knows the impact of giving the birth. So it will tell her husband that we're supposed to do this. We have one thing the capacity, we don't have the capacity of this, taking the advantage of when we see this our country, we have inflation, we have so insecurity, the poverty, and then our population is the key number that causes this problem. So we need to execute this family planning. Then we try in as much as possible to see it. We have made it happen in our curriculum of our various school here in North. We need to do this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gaba. Please stay with us, because at this point in time, we are bringing in our two other resource persons, our two other guests joining us right here in the studio. First is Aisha Abdulaziz Adamu, who is Director, Population Studies and Coordinating Director, Climate Change at the National Population Commission. Thank you so much for joining us. We're also joined by Dr. Nnamdi Madueke, who is the Deputy Director, Population Studies at the National Population Commission. Thank you so much and welcome. Thank you, sir. Right. So before you came in, I was having a discussion with Mr. Ibrahim Gaba, who is a demography expert. He is joining us from Duse in Jigawa State, and we're talking about Nigeria's population dynamics. Coming as you are from the Population Commission, I know that for several years now we've been trying as a country to conduct a national population census. But we do have a projected number of Nigerian citizens here at home. What does that number stand at the moment? That projection.
Projection. We need to have the census so that we give an accurate data. We cannot continue projecting. The 2020 rounds of census has passed. We are now going into the 2030, and we don't know the number, and we call ourselves the giant of Africa. How can that be? Data is the new crude. Nigeria cannot afford not to have a census. We cannot live on projections. Here we are a population of 220 or more. Are we sure? Can it be less? Will
Some
it be
actually put it at 230 million.
Yes. You say because there is no definite. When was the last census conducted? 2006. That's almost 18 years.
So when we do have an accurate figure, our census figures have always been very controversial. What is that expected to do for us as a country in terms of our economic planning and in terms of every other thing, including our security projections and planning?
Well, what is it supposed to do? When you know, when you have data, you have an information. That information will lead you or will guide you on what to plan. Like we have a youthful population of about 60% of the population is young between the age of 0 to 25.
That is also a projection.
It is, but we can confirm it. Go to the north, you will see what I'm saying. Go to Abuja now. How many of my age mates are outside in the shops or at the malls? They're younger people. We have a young generation that need to be planned for. Planning is essential, and you cannot plan without data.
Dr. Maduki, let's bring you into the mix now. A rapid growing population, that's what we are told we have in Nigeria. And like Madam has just confirmed, the youth population is in the region of 60% or even more. And that, of course, has both its advantages and disadvantages. For a developing economy like ours, what do you think we need to begin to do to engage fruitfully these 60% of the vibrant population so as to mitigate, for instance, what they call now the Japa syndrome?
Okay, thank you so much. The country actually needs its active population. And we need to work on our dependency ratio. Now, when you have many more people that can work, then you can employ them in the productive sectors, in agriculture, in the industries, and the service sectors. But before that can happen, we need to prepare them. They need to be schooled. They need to be skilled. They need to be engaged in all the sectors that require labor. So we are fortunate as a country to have the youth bulge. And that's what we call demographic dividend. You have population that you can activate to produce. You have population that you can activate when there's a need for security. Some countries are at war now. They are looking for soldiers because they don't have that bracket. So, but because we have that advantage, we can build on that. But like I said, they have to be trained. They have to be prepared. They have to be equipped. So our population is not a total disadvantage. India is now the largest country in the world. And we
in
can
terms of population?
Yes. And you can see what they're making out of their population. There's no active economy you go today that you don't find Indians. So they've skilled them. They put them in technology. They put them in productive sectors. So for them now is an advantage. And that's what Nigeria has to do. Just before we came here, I was telling my director that Nigeria needs to take a strategic view and strategic management of its population. What do you want to do in the short term? What do you want to do in the mid-term? And what do you want to do with it in the long term? In the short term, yes, people are talking about high fertility. We need to manage that fertility. In the mid-term, we need to stabilize. We need to make sure that that population can remain at a level that can be useful to all these things that we talked about. In the long term, we have to make sure we avoid the strategic errors of so many countries now, where they're having challenge of crashing population. In fact, you talked about Japa. It's because our people are needed there. There are opportunities in almost every sector there in various countries. And go and look at their demographic history, and you find out their situation now.
Director, a study has also shown that the current population we have, which is estimated between 220, 230 million, that in the year 2050, which is just about 25 years from today, that figure could double. And here he has just spoken about having to manage our fertilities. How do we go about that? And how is that likely to happen in a society such as ours, where we are so influenced by our culture and our religious beliefs?
High fertility. Yesterday, no, on Tuesday, we had a regional conference hosted by His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State, and we were saying 5.3 is high. Then I was smiling to myself. I was saying, oh, the person talking didn't look at the northwest that has 7.6, and the northeast that has 7.4 or thereabout. The NDHS has just come out, and the figures are alarming. But for me, now I'm talking as an individual, how do you manage? How do you make people to understand? How do you make people to appreciate? It's not about saying, okay, we want to manage. There must be rules. There must be a radical change from the position we are. The religious leaders have to be talked to. They have to talk to their congregation. Do we need a qualitative population or a quantitative population that will come administer us? He was interested, His Excellency was interested in the Al-Majiri issue. He wants to come in. How does he solve the problem? And we had the conference. We're going to bring out the communique. But that's for the North Central. What about the Northwest? What about the Northeast? How do you get people, particularly the right of the woman, that the average woman in the North should know that her body is hers. She needs to take a stance. But how does she take it? It's not just talking about education. We're busy turning out students or graduates who cannot even write. Will that person appreciate family planning? No. There is a lot to be done. It's not about giving even access to it, but also what the people presenting it should be able to tell us what is the long-term effect of this family planning. Do I have a choice? Can I abstain? Do I have other variables, not only the drugs? Has any research been done to the impacts of that? These are things, these are questions that need to be asked, and women have to come to the forefront to answer that. Those that have used it, those that are using it, and those that will use it. That's my position.
Dr. Maduoke, what have your studies revealed on this?
Yeah, I think we need to tune our perspective. Like she has said, the conference that just ended yesterday was about the interlinkages between population dynamics, security issues, climate change, and then within that context, the out-of-school children. We're talking about childhood vulnerability. We're looking at children in mining, children that should have been in school, but they are in lumbering. So population management, sometimes it's just like managing hypertension and hypotension. Doctors will tell you it's easier to manage hypertension than to manage hypertension, because when the blood pressure goes beyond sustainable level, it takes a lot of things to bring it up. The same thing with population. Where countries have crossed that boundary of stabilization of population, the tendency is for the population to keep going down. And in countries that they've tried to put in policies, put in interventions to make sure the population comes back to that sustainable level, they have a big struggle with it. And what are we saying? Nigeria has to be perspective-driven in this. We have to be strategic. Yes, we need to manage our population at this level so that it doesn't get to that doubling, because you put it in the context of available resources. That is a major challenge. But then if we follow the classical population management approach, we might get to the other side of it. And it's just like in so many things now, okay, in health, non-communicable diseases are becoming challenges here. And we don't have the system, we don't have the structure to manage them. So when our population, which is already stabilizing, whether we like it or not, yes, it's still high. The figures are still high. But because of economic pressure and whatever we have, the people are not responding. I was speaking with young people of recent. How many children will you have? The average urbanite wants just 2 now. 2. Is that replacement level? Not exactly. So in the next 10 years, next 10, 15 years, Nigeria might find itself facing some of the challenges, and we don't have the institutions to manage them. Thank you.
Except that is at the urban level. At the rural level, what was your own finding? I mean, are people still going about bearing as many children as they want to do? Because you recall that growing up in the rural areas in those days, the norm was that parents want to have as many children as they can because they are mainly farmers, fishermen, and whatever, and they needed hands to help them in their vocations.
Certainly, we have that urban-rural divide, variations in fertility. We also have regional divide, like she has said, this is the north, is northwest, even the south. So, yes, in the rural areas, probably a little higher. But you see, everybody is responding to the stimulus. People are coming under pressure. In the olden days, it was just to have these children to go to the farm. But even in the villages now, parents know that when they have children, they should train them. We were talking about the Amajiri system during the conference. And, you know, it's getting to the awareness of everybody in every part of this country. And major stakeholders are beginning to move on that parents should be held responsible. In fact, somebody was like about suggesting that there should be a law that if a child is on the street, the parents should be caught and they'll be held to account. So, yes, in the rural areas, maybe at this level, somehow slightly higher than urban, but things are also changing at that level.
All right, let's bring in Ibrahim Garba this time again. Mr. Garba, you have listened very carefully to our resource persons and guests here in the studio. What exactly do you think is the way forward, for instance, for northern Nigeria, where you are, where you have carried out a number of studies on these issues?
Here in law, for instance, when you may enter into a village, you will see one person has 10, 15 children, and he don't know how to control that children. He didn't educate them because he don't have the capacity of educating them. They don't have the knowledge to control that children. You may end up seeing that children going where we are seeing these bandits are coming from, where these people are going for insecurity is having a large number here in North. You see, any person, for instance, when the child gets educated, the parent educate their child. You see, that parent they control their children. And then you see, if we give this access of this family planning, I think this family planning can be number one role that can tackle this issue. Because I have 2 children. I have the capacity. For instance, I'm a federal government or state government. My salary can allow me to educate my 2 children. I have to do these 2 children is okay for me. It's okay for me. Then these two children, I put my eyes on them and I can control them. So I will not allow them to go to farm only because our northern people they believe in farm, which is not our solution. It's not our solution. And then these people, they need vocational training. Number one, they need vocational training. Through vocational training, they can get awareness, knowledge of how to control themselves, and then how we can reduce this population when it comes to it. Then, number 2, they will see microfinance, as I mentioned earlier, microfinance, and then women empowerment. Women empowerment. can help us. Then because we gather the women everywhere I find our village, then we empower them. Then through there, we can control this issue. We acknowledge that we give them the knowledge of if we do this thing, we can control this thing. We can do, and this thing can help to control this problem. Because Nigeria are large. When you look the north, where I come from, we are very, very. For instance, I come from a tender family. We are in number, but I only get chance to study. Only me alone. I have sisters, I have brothers, but they couldn't go to school because my father cannot afford them. For me, I survived through that life. So and then my father is a farmer, so he's a farmer. He is not a federal government worker. So through this thing, we can control this. We empower them. We give them vocational training. We give them program of microfinance program through there. And then we have to consider the health infrastructure that when we raise the interception of health from the facility rate that increase the lower, you see, the nurses we have, the doctors we have, they can control through there. They guide our people. They guide them through family planning. You see, you cannot live with yourself. You do this, they give them knowledge from there. And then, so consider the school curriculum. We have to put this in the school curriculum. We need this. We need this. We have large number of people, uneducated people. And an uneducated person, how can you control it? If you tell him this, he can bring you religion and say, my God, allow me. I am a Muslim. I have the audacity to bring more children. It's God that will provide them, which is totally wrong. You don't understand his religion. He don't understand the religion. Because he's...
Well, we appear to have lost contact with Brian Garba here. We hope that he's able to return. But moving on from there, let's look at another aspect of all of this, which is the security impact of these large populations. Nigeria has been having very challenging security issues for almost a decade or even more. In every part of the country, it's the same. But of course, we have had issues of insurgencies, armed robbery, terrorism, clashes between herders and farmers, and all of that. How is this rapidly rising population contributing to those challenges that we have in the security sector?
I heard your resource person mentioning family planning. You don't, as I say it, the family has already been managed or has been controlled. I don't like to use the word control, but it's been managed deliberately, strategically by others for us. I'll give you an example. The 6334, in its own right, has curbed the high fertility level that we are talking about. But it will not manifest maybe till 20, 50 years. Then you will see the gap. I'll give you another example, the Boko Haram. The people between the ages of 15 and 35, a lot of young men have been killed. A lot of them have been wrapped up within the, I call it a conspiracy theory, into the Boko Haram, whether consciously or unconsciously. So there is a gap, and that gap will manifest in future. What are we doing? How do we intend to solve this problem? Because it will come. Aside from its social implication, the demographic indices will come out that there is a gap. So in order to manage that, the education pattern has been established. You now find a girl or young lady of 40 in the north without husband. And there are some cases of 50 because the marriageable age has been locked in between going to the university. And then all our universities do is to churn out students not equipped to work with their hands, but with the mind. And even the mind, is there a technology? So there must be a visionary leadership that will then change the dynamics through implementation of the policies. MPC has the population management policy. Has it been utilized? Has it been implemented? You understand? So we need the governance or the governance of the policy to its maximum use by implementation.
In other words, you're saying that there is a weakness in the governance structure, and that, for instance, in education, we need to tweak our educational curriculum, not just to produce theoretical education, but also the kind of education that would get people really engaged.
That will get them useful. In the rural areas, the migration between rural and urban, everybody is coming. Like during the Almajiri session, there is the issue that there are some migrant Almajiris that they come during the dry season and go back during. So you can now tell them, oh, you don't need to come to Abuja. There is a cottage industry that can turn the sugar cane or the husk of the sugar cane to something like a fertilizer. And you can do it using the system that India has used. For me, population is a blessing if it's harnessed well. And how do you harness it? You only harness it when you educate. It doesn't have to be A, B, C, D, but now it's the era of technology, AI, and so many things that these young girls and boys that we have are moved. So not even going to the school, but their school is on the social media, on the internet, and so forth. So we can now bring them back. What best can they do? Can we have a Silicon Valley in Nigeria? The moment you start somewhere, it will go. Look at the music industry in Lagos. The young guys creating music, and everybody. I was in Kenya, and they were dancing Nigerian dance, singing Nigerian song. I said, what do you know? They said, no, we love you. So we are a nation that, if the population is managed well, will be the best in the world. America says they're the God's own country. We will be the God's own country in Africa, too.
Dr. Madueke, that of course leads us to this other aspect of it. You know, recently, I mean, during the End Bad Governance protest, a number of the persons that were are involved and those that were arrested were actually very young people. I mean, it's evident from the number of those that were prosecuted and eventually released by the government and all of that. Now, if you look at the fact that groups such as the Boko Haram and all the others that have been springing up in different places are exploiting those socio-economic, what do I call it now, vulnerabilities of the people to recruit people into their ranks. And there are also many other crime groups here and there in different parts of the country, whether in the southeast, in the southwest, in the south-south, or in the middle belt. The story is the same, maybe in different degrees and all of that. That, again, boils down to the fact that, like she says, managing our population resources.
Yeah, that's all right. There's actually that linkage that we've been trying to trace between the population, the dynamics of the population, but much more directly with us now, the composition of the population, the age structure. The size is important, but sometimes it's not the size that makes the difference. For instance, the North Central Zone, generally, in terms of population density, is one of the lowest. But then because the population and the age bracket that could be available for all these things are the dominant ones. And so they are available. And since they are not skilled, since they are not engaged in the productive economy, or they are used in such a way that they shouldn't be used. For instance, they should be in school, but they're out there begging. They should be in school, they're out there in lumbering or mining. Yeah, they are available to anybody that wants to recruit them. And because of the level of poverty, the threshold of entry is quite low. So we need actually three things. I want to keep talking about strategic thinking in terms of this. We need three kinds of innovation: social innovation, economic innovation, and technological innovation. India was able to manage their challenges much better with technology. The other day, inside a keke, I was just discussing with some people. So India has taken over the world with just this small device. And it was just little reverse engineering that they did with available machine, attach a slightly bigger coach, and it becomes, and they're selling all over the world. Tata, the country that the factory, the farm, that started this, they're one of the biggest in the world today. So we need to bring in, like she said, the national policy on population and development. One of the best in the world. Somebody was saying, you look at Nigeria's population policy, one of the best in the world. She was actually comparing with Kenya. I said, two of them are best. But it's not about what is written down. It's about implementation. It's about activation. So, yes, we can. We can break off this, but then we need this innovation. And we need an iota of sincerity. And you understand what I'm saying?
So what exactly would you say is hindering the activation of this very wonderful national population policy? Why is it sitting down somewhere on some shelf, unattended to?
Well, it takes two to tango. We are only assigned to write or to produce the policy. The implementation is with the government. That's why I talked about a radical and a visionary leadership that is required. No indictment on anybody. And that's just an endemic problem that we have in this country. The truth needs to be told that the demographers, the academia, National Population Commission, and every other citizen should be insisting that if policies are made, those policies should be or must be implemented. The policy governance needs to be more active. It's like they are not interested in the population issue. We are more interested in politics than in the population, and they're all peace. All you need to do is that one generates money, one, if not managed, will generate problem. If you use it well, it will generate the money you want to. It can be the best in the world. If you have a youthful population, I would say it's a blessing, because one, is a resource, two, is a consumer, and how you see it and how you use it gives you the value of what you put in. I don't know if I've made myself clear.
Yes, I mean, you do make sense. Yeah, I'm just wondering whether or not there are other best practices anywhere else around the world that we could learn from, in addition to what is put down in the national population policy.
I believe in always tailor-making other people's ideas to suit what I have. You cannot bring the case of Sweden or Switzerland to Nigeria. Already they're in the down part. They are looking for people. We have a resource base, that is the youthful population. The fertility rate is between 15 to 49. We have them. We can harness it. So I really disagree. We can learn, yes, but we do not adopt. Algeria is an Islamic nation, but they have reached their seal because they took into controlling the population. How do we encourage people to now know? Economics is doing it, but for how long? Just like the doctor has said, there is a short term, there is a mid-term, and there is a long term. So we have to look at the policy, look at its implementation, and then look at the implementers, and then look at those who are going to be part of the implementation. That is the women, because the women are the ones that are in this ground. They need to be involved. Their voices must be heard. Do I really want to have 10 children? Do I want to have 5? Do I want to have 4? I have only 2, and I'm happy with it. Nobody told me to do any family planning. I chose to do it. I took the decision, and I can tell you its size effect. I can tell you if it's good or not good. There are other options. Somebody will tell you, oh, it's the best thing that has happened to me. So women must be involved in the decision-making for any population or fertility matter, because our voices can lean or add value to whatever decisions that are being made.
Dr. Matuke, is our National Assembly, our lawmakers, are they apprised of this national population policy?
Definitely. The Population Commission, National Population Commission, is proactive in the dissemination of these policies. In fact, when the policy was formulated, it was a multi-sectorial thing. And there's no way they would have, because there's a seal of the president. I saw it on that thing. So it would have gone through that process. So they are quite aware. But like I just said, it's one thing to have a good policy. It's another thing to get everybody involved in making sure aspects of it are implemented. So yes, it is well known to everybody, but probably needs a little more dissemination.
All right. Ibrahim, Mr. Garba, let's bring you in for your final word here. Beyond what you have recommended, what do you think will be the strategic way forward for Nigeria?
We need action. Action. We need action. Because when the commission writes, then we need action. We need action. There's so many times we end the law writing the law, typing the law, putting the law, but there is no implementation. We need action and implementation in Nigeria. Nigeria is supposed to make implementation and make a concrete awareness. Concrete awareness. For instance, when you take the issue of the Sokoto, for these people that come just earlier, they call them Lakurawa. They are giving the youth 1 million, register them to their own organization, what they call Lakurawa. And then the youth, they are looking to stretch money. They don't understand the problem they are facing by registering for their contract. They don't know where they come from. They don't know their vision. They don't know their mission. They just enter their contract. They just enter their organization by collecting the 1 million. They are just looking for that one. A number of youth have entered that organization. What government about this? If the population makes the writing and the government is supposed to make an implementation for that writing, make the action up. We need action in Nigeria because we don't have action.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim. Ibrahim Garba joined us all the way from Duse in Jigawa State. He says what is required is action, implementation of policies that are already on ground. Just the same thing that Haja Aisha Abdulaziz Adamu has spoken about, and of course, Dr. Nnamdi Madueke. Now, the strategies that are required, according to my panelists, is multi-sectoral, is comprehensive. It should be both a combination of economic, technological, social, and of course, sustainable development programs and projects. That is the way to go for Nigeria. We already have a document, according to them, that can make all the difference if put into proper action. Thank you so much for your time. Haja Aisha Abdulaziz Adamu, Director, Population Studies and Coordinating Director, Climate Change at the National Population Commission. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Nnamdi Madueke is the Deputy Director, Population Studies, National Population Commission, and of course, Ibrahim Garba, who is a professional in demography and population studies. He joined us all the way from Jigawa State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and our viewers out there, we want to thank you for investing your time with us. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.
Yeah.